Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Champion. If you were with me last week, you may remember I wrote a post that discussed this book that I had been reading, The Extinction of Experience Being Human in a Disembodied World by Christine Rosen. And very good book. It's a short read, it's not overly technical or anything, so I highly recommend it. And if you remember, as I very quickly summarized last time, it's about how because of our digital world, we are really losing touch with a lot of the human experiences, the things that truly bring our lives meaning, because we now have this, separation and this interface of a screen at all times, and we're not actually going out and doing interesting things anymore. So instead of I wrote about how it affects education. We have students who, instead of like when I was in high school, where I in my AP junior year, I still remember dissecting in biology class a shark and a variety of other animals, and then my senior year AP anatomy class, we dissected a cat. And so I remember what the smells were, and I remember touching the insides of the animals, and making the cuts and identifying and labeling things and studying for tests on these animals. Like, I remember what that experience was like. And I didn't necessarily like it at the time, but it was probably really good for me. I learned a lot by having my hands inside the animal and doing the science labs. Well, now kids can have digital labs on their laptop where they just click their mouse and identify things, and that's the lab now. It's like, well, is that the same thing as getting your hands dirty and smelling things and looking closely at these animals? It's just not. Instead of going to the art museum, you can log on to a museum's website, and the museum will show you the photographs of the paintings that they have in their exhibits. It's like, well, is that the same thing? Is looking at the painting live and in person at the museum the same thing as seeing a picture of that painting just on your laptop or on your phone? And it's just not. So whether it's entertainment or education or something in your social life, whatever, there is this divide between the things you experience and the things that you just watch via a screen. And as technology continues to advance and we like the convenience and efficiency a lot more, that tends to be where we're going. And she questions in that book how much of our humanity we are losing. And so, again, take a look at that book if you'd like. But what I'm going to talk about today is, in that book, she references a very short poem by Wendell Berry, who, not a super famous poet, but American poet, contemporary, still alive, and sort of famous in, or at least well known in Southern writers circles. And some of his work appears in various anthologies, and so he's a fairly acclaimed author. And she references this poem that I would like to share with you today, really quickly. So here is a very short poetry lesson by the author Wendell Berry. So let's take a look. So I always tell students when we're looking at poetry, I always read, or I want students to read the whole thing through first, so we get a sense of how it sounds or what the main ideas of the poem are going to be, and then we'll go back and break it down a little further. So let's just take a look at it as a whole first. Very short, and as you'll see, it's written in prose, so it doesn't even really sound like a poem. It even has a character, so it's almost like a little mini narrative. So it's not a scary, complicated poem with a bunch of weird rhyme schemes and figurative language and stuff like that. So here it is, The Vacation by Wendell Berry. Once there was a man who filmed his vacation. He went flying down the river in his boat with his video camera to his eye, making a moving picture of the moving river upon which his sleek boat moved swiftly toward the end of his vacation. He showed his vacation to his camera, which pictured it, preserving it forever. The river, the trees, the sky, the light, the bow of his rushing boat, behind which he stood with his camera, preserving his vacation even as he was having it, so that, after he had had it, he would still have it. It would be there. With a flick of a switch, there it would be. But he would not be in it. He would never be in it. So as I said, very simple to read. No discernible patterns, no discernible rhymes, no complex language or symbolism or anything like that. It's a pretty straightforward little tiny narrative, actually. So let's look at it sort of line by line or idea by idea here, because there's some things that I think are really important that she mentions, Christine Rosen mentions in her book. just about this idea of living through a screen instead of actually living. So, the first line, once there was a man who filmed his vacation. You would think a normal opening line to a story about a character would be, once there was a man who went on a vacation. So we know from the very first line that he went on this vacation is sort of the secondary part. It's almost just implied, because the whole point of it is that he wasn't really on it. He was just filming it. So he was just like an observer of a vacation experience, not someone actually having a vacation experience. So that key verb there, that he was just filming his vacation. He went flying down the river in his boat with his video camera to his eye, making a moving picture of the moving river. So here we have, we do get the sense that he is involved because he went flying, but it very quickly switches that we know, or tells us that he has his video camera to his eye, and the camera then starts having the actions. Notice, at first he went flying down the river, but then when it starts talking about the video camera starts making a moving picture over the moving river. So now it's the camera doing the action. Even the river is doing the action. And all he's doing is just standing there filming. So it starts out that he was rushing down the river, but actually he's standing and everything else is rushing around him. He's just capturing it through the lens of his video camera. His sleek boat moves swiftly toward the end of his vacation. Sort of an odd phrase. You'd think that you would elaborate on the things you were filming, that you'd want to, there'd be more of a narration of, oh, here are the things I see as we're zooming down the river, and here's how I'm feeling, and isn't this great, and look what a lovely day it is. It's just to get to the end of the vacation. It's just moving forward. There's not really a purpose to it. We're just moving, and at some point we're going to be at the end of all this, and I'll have it captured, and that'll be my vacation. So check the verbs on this sentence. He showed his vacation to his camera. So instead of, again, interacting with his environment and having some sort of adventure or, getting out of the boat and walking around or stopping and doing some fishing or doing some kind of activity, the action verb we get is he just showed whatever was going on out there to his camera. He wasn't participating in it. He was just using the environment to say, here, camera, this is for you. When the environment isn't for the camera, it's for us. It's for us to enjoy and us to participate in. And instead, he's giving all the pleasures and the joys and the adventures that he could be having to his camera instead of to himself. So look at the verbs again. So the camera is the one picturing it. The camera is the one preserving it forever. The camera is the one having all the fun here. He's just standing there holding that video camera instead of enjoying this vacation that he's on. The camera is the beneficiary of the vacation, not him. So we do get a little glimpse of the things he's looking at: the river, the trees, the sky, the light, which are important because we want to capture where he is to a certain degree. We could have more detail, but I think it feels to me like the author is it seems like he's almost describing things in the most basic way possible, because that's all a camera can do, especially if you're rushing down a river. There isn't a lot of time to capture things in depth. And so what do you see? All you see is the water and the trees and the sky. When, as a person, whether you're moving quickly or slowly, you're taking in not only what you see, but what you hear and what you smell. And there's the feelings you have as, if you're going really fast in a boat, maybe your heart's racing. Maybe if you're stopping and doing some fishing, or you're taking a walk along the banks, you're very calm and you feel very peaceful. Maybe you have almost a religious experience because you're out in nature and it's quiet and it's so beautiful. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could be going on with this character. And instead, all we get is, oh, look, there's the river and there's the trees and there's the sky. It's not taking the time to have an emotional reaction and a true interaction with the environment or the activity that humans should be doing. The whole point of going on a vacation is to have a feeling while you're on the vacation, that you feel relaxed or you feel energized or you feel excited. Something. We don't get any of that. It's just a description of what's there, because that's all the video camera can do. It just captures what is there. It's just totally objective. While a vacation should be subjective. It should be something you feel because you're experiencing it. So he stood behind the bow of the boat, and he's preserving his vacation even as he was having it. So again, now the author is putting these two things together in the same line, preserving it while he was having it. Our brains do that for us. Any experience we have, especially if it's highly emotionally charged, is going to be imprinted on our brains. We are already preserving it. So we can have it and preserve it at the same time. And meanwhile, he's letting the camera do that. He's supposed to be having the vacation, but his camera is having it and preserving it for him. So the camera is doing the work that he should be doing. And then it's funny phrasing here. Preserving his vacation even as he was having it, so that after he had had it, he would still have it. It would be there. There's something interesting that happens where it's not just on vacations, it's all sorts of places. Look at how often you see people filming things. And why are they filming it? So that they have it after they have it, right? I always think it's so weird when I go to a concert, like a rock concert, country concert, whatever. Some band I like is playing. And there's people filming through their phones, and they're watching through their phone instead of seeing the amazing artist or band in front of them on the stage singing and playing their instruments and doing this, putting on this amazing show. They're preferring to watch it through their tiny screen. And I know in their mind it's so that they will still have it, so that, like he says, after he had it, he would still have it. And you think, oh, well, I want to preserve this so I can go back later and watch it again. But by doing that, you're missing the amazing performance right in front of your eyes. So it's just very weird how often this happens. And I always get very frustrated. I'm thinking, like, you spent hundreds of dollars to be at this concert, and what are you doing? You're watching your phone instead. Why are you even here? That's ridiculous. So just a good reminder for us that, yes, we do want to take photos. Sometimes we take video because we think we want to experience it later. But what are you giving up in those minutes or however long that you're choosing to look at your screen instead of actually participating in the activity? How much more might you enjoy it? How much more of a meaningful experience could you be having if you put down your camera and just participated in it? In the book, she also references an interesting study that showed that as much as we think we will go back and watch the things on our phone, we actually don't as often as we think we will. And also what happens is, she said that when you have printed photos, like you have an album, one, you will go back and look at your album more often. And what will actually happen is you'll have other people sharing the viewing experience of the album. Because when you open a big book and you have all these photographs laid out, you can gather, 4, 5, 6 people around that book and talk about the picture and tell a little story. And, you kind of, if it's an old photo, you sort of feel the grain of it, and you turn the big plastic pages, and it's an experience in itself to manually, tactily feel the photographs and turn the pages. No one sits around with 6 of their friends all staring at your little tiny phone. People don't do that. She says the stats show that people share in the reliving experience of a vacation or some event that you've captured on film more often when it's in a hard copy form than when it's on your phone in digital form. So it's so interesting that, we think we want to have these memories so that we can share them with other people and look at this cool thing. Turns out, 1, we don't look at them as often as we think when they're on our phones. And 2, we don't really share them with other people. Even if we're scrolling through our phone, it's not like we invite 4 other people over to look at our phones. People don't want to do that. Whereas you will find when you get family members together, they will huddle around a photo album. So another interesting idea here going on that, we all do it. It's understandable that when you go places, you do want to take photos, and you might even take video so that you can reflect upon it later. But again, there's always a cost. And what are you giving up, especially if you're taking long video clips with your camera? You're probably missing a lot of the human experience. So he says, with a flick of a switch, there it would be. Because that's what we think. We think, oh, it'll be so easy. I can relive this vacation anytime because, tick, it's right there on my phone. And yet, we often don't do that. But then the final lines are key. But he would not be in it. Because after all, he's not in the photographs, he's not in the video, he's the one filming it. So he's behind the camera. Last line, he would never be in it. We get this double meaning, of course, where he's reiterating that he's not in the video because he's filming the trees and the sky and the river. But the in it part is the key here. What is the it? Well, in the last line, it was the video. But for the whole poem, it's the vacation. He's not actually in his vacation. He's just watching his vacation. Again, like going to a concert and filming the band on stage, you're not actually in the concert. If you put your phone down and dance and sing along and cheer and clap and look at the amazing musicians on the stage, you're in it. You're part of the concert. But when you separate it and you put something in between, like a screen, you're now not in the concert. You're separated and you're just watching. Now you're watching a concert. You're not in the concert. So great, clever use of the double meaning here of in it, where in one line it's the video, the other line it's his own life, his own vacation. So again, there's this it's understanding that it's understandable that we want to preserve our memories, but or our experiences and have these tangible versions of our memories. But again, our memories already do this, and so we don't have to photograph everything. We certainly don't need to film everything. I always think it's so weird when I see people with tattoos, and I don't like tattoos. People can do what they want, but I think it's just narcissism. You just want something to show people. And so even if someone has something that's sort of meaningful, they'll have a tattoo of like their grandmother's name or a little picture of someone they love or whatever. It's like, why do you have that? Why do you have that tattoo? Oh, it's a tribute to my grandpa or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you remember your grandpa. You have photographs of your grandpa. Why do you need a tattoo of that person? Oh, to remember him by. It's like, yeah, but you have the memories already. You have photographs of him. You might even have film clips of you and him hanging out. Or like, you don't need a tattoo. You got the tattoo so that you have the thing, so that you have a tattoo, so that you can show people, look, I have a tattoo. It's not for your grandma or grandpa or whoever your tribute is for. That's not what it is. You're fooling yourself. You did it because you wanted the thing. You wanted the tattoo, not a tribute to your grandparents. You already have the tribute in your own mind. You have the memories of how much you love them. Again, you might have photographs of that already. You don't need a tattoo for that. You just did it because you wanted to show off how much you love your grandpa or whatever. So it's the same thing that's happening here with the video camera. Instead of experiencing the vacation and having the memories in our minds of the vacation and how great it was, this person's focus is on the thing. The thing is all that matters. What's the thing? The video. You just care about the video version, not the actual thing. So just like people with tattoos who have tributes, like, how about just care about that person? Just love that person with all your heart. Keep them in your thoughts and your mind all the time and respect them and, live out the way they would want you to live. Great. Why do you have a tattoo of it? Same thing, like, why do you need a video of it? You lived it. You experienced it. And the video is nowhere near as interesting as the other thing was. In this case, the vacation was. So just have the vacation. That's what's important. While I'm filming this, I was just watching, there's the golf tournament at Pebble Beach, one of the most famous and most beautiful golf courses in the world. And I was lucky enough to play the same course that the pros are playing at Pebble Beach about 5 years ago. And yes, I took a number of photographs. Yes, I took a couple of short video clips of, I had my wife film me taking a swing, or I filmed her hitting a shot or whatever. So there's a couple clips. But even when I go back and I look at those photos on my phone or in our files, or I watch a clip of, oh, that was me taking a swing on, whatever hole, there's absolutely nothing that compares to the memories I have of walking on that course and smelling the ocean air that day and feeling the breeze and as the sun sort of peeked out at various points of the day, what it felt like to walk on that amazing, pristine fairway and spongy, soft, carpet-like green. And the colors are so bright at that course. Even on a foggy, cloudy day, it's so beautiful. And I can remember pretty much every single shot I hit that day. I can remember, so when I watch it on television and I see the pros and they're standing on, in the bunker on hole number 3, I'm like, oh yeah, I was there. That's where I hit my shot too. I remember I drove it there, and then I had to hit it over here, and then I shot it. Like, I remember each shot and each hole of that whole day. And it was 5 years ago. Why do I remember it so well? Because I took the time that day to experience it. I wanted to soak in every sight, sound, smell, everything I could from that day because it was so cool to play on a course that pros play on. But it's one of the most famous and most beautiful places in the world. And I knew that day that, yes, I'm going to take a few photographs, but I want to pay attention to everything because I don't know if I'll ever get back there. This may be my one chance, just like this guy on his boat. Maybe this is his one chance to take this boat ride, and yet he's not even paying attention to it. How sad is that? So when I think back to a vacation like that, where I was on that golf course and experienced what it felt like to be there on that beautiful day, I'll never forget it. And yeah, I have a few photographs and a couple quick film clips of that day, but I replay the memories of it every single week. Every week I think about that golf course and that vacation that I was on constantly. So it's just a great reminder that, your brain will remember a lot, and you need to have experiences that will shape who you are because, that experience is part of who I am now. I'm someone who played on that course. Not many people get to say that. And that's part of my identity now. I did that. I lived it. I hit those shots, and I know what it's like to walk there and see how beautiful it was in person. And so that's part of who I am now. And we all have those experiences if we're willing to pay attention to them. And yes, snap a few photos. Yes, take a few film clips, but don't live your life through your screen or through a video camera. Live it, experience it, enjoy it, learn things from it. And there's just nothing better. There's nothing better than being a human being in a human body, living out these amazing adventures that we all can have if we just go find them. So put the screens away, live your life. And this is a great poem that can help you remember that. Hope you liked it.